Hi dear students, how are you all? Hope that all of you are keeping fine, and I hope that you attended the online classes and watched the second part of the lesson, The Adventure of the Speckled Band, and we will continue our lesson discussion. Take page number 4. In the last class we had seen that Sherlock Holmes came to Helen Stoner's house and he examined Helen Stoner's house and he gave an advice. He gave an advice to Helen Stoner that both of them, Watson and Sherlock Holmes, they would stay there at Helen Stoner's room, and once her stepfather arrives and once he goes for sleeping, then Helen Stoner, she is supposed to lit a lamp in the room of Julia, and after lighting the lamp, she can just go back to her room. So the rest of the story we will see today. Miss Stoner agreed, whatever the advice or the demands given by Sherlock Holmes, that Miss Helen Stoner agreed. Holmes and I went outside to wait near the gates. At about 9 o'clock, the light was put out and all was dark in the direction of the manor house. Okay, after giving the advice, Sherlock Holmes and Watson went outside, and about 9 o'clock, all the light was put out. So complete darkness. And then they were just looking towards the manor house. Then what happened? 2 hours passed slowly, and then almost 11 o'clock. At the stroke of 11, we saw a single bright light shining in our direction. So that is a signal. And signal from whom? Signal from Helen that her stepfather went for sleeping. So after seeing the light, what Sherlock Holmes said, that is our signal, said Holmes, springing to his feet. He just got up and they just started to move towards the house. We entered the grounds through the gaps in the old wall. So there was a gap on the old wall, so they entered the compound. Once we were inside the bedroom, Holmes whispered in my ear. So that is the room of Julia where she died, and from that room Helen moved to her old room. Now Sherlock Holmes and Watson are there inside Julia's room. The least sound would be fatal to our plans. We must sit without a light. Do not fall asleep. Your very life may depend upon it. So now Sherlock Holmes gives an advice to Watson. What is the advice? The least sound would fatal to our plans. Okay, if you make a small sound, that can also spoil or damage our plans. So don't make any kind of sound. We must sit without a light, no light. Complete darkness must be there. Do not fall asleep. Don't sleep. Why? Because your very life may depend upon it. If you sleep, that can cause some kind of dangers to you. So don't sleep, and you must be very careful. Holmes had brought with him a long thin cane. Thin cane means a thin stick, which he placed beside him on the bed. So he brought one cane or the stick, and he just placed that beside the bed. Beside it, he laid a box of matches and a stump of a candle. Stump of a candle means the part of a candle, a small part of a candle, that also he placed. Then he turned down the lamp and we were left in darkness. So he just put off the lamp and they were left in darkness. And what all are the things brought by Sherlock Holmes? One thin cane and a matchbox, then stump of candle. For the next few minutes, they were waiting there in darkness. For the next few minutes, we sat in a state of dreadful vigil. With the complete attention, the downside vigil, you can take the meaning, the act of staying awake and keeping watch. So much attention. They were watching and very attentive. I started sweating from the tension. So Watson was so much tensed. Then suddenly a sound became audible. They heard one sound, a very gentle, soothing sound like that of a small jet of steam escaping continually from a kettle. So that is a whistle sound. Suddenly, while they were petting, the time in darkness and silence, they heard a sound, a whistle sound. The moment we heard it, Holmes sprang from the bed. He just got up from the bed, struck a match, and lashed furiously with his cane at the bell pull. Once Sherlock Holmes heard the sound, then what he did, he just got up from the bed, then struck a match. He just lit the light. To lash furiously means to move something side to side. So with a cane or a stick, he started to move the bell rope very fast. Then, you see it, Watson, he yelled, you see it. So in a loud voice, Sherlock Holmes, after lashing the bell rope in a furious manner, he just asked Watson, whether have you seen that? He yelled, you see it. He had ceased to strike and was gazing up at the ventilator, when suddenly the silence of the night was broken by the most horrible cry I have ever heard. So he was just pointing towards the bell rope, and then Watson, what he noticed? Here Sherlock Holmes, he just stopped beating the bell rope, and suddenly a crying sound they heard. And that crying sound that broke the silence of the night, a great crying sound from the other room. What can it mean? I gasped. So he asked Sherlock Holmes, what is the reason for that crying sound? Then Sherlock Holmes said to Watson that it means that it is all over. Holmes answered. We will now enter Dr. Roy's room. So now everything is over. The case is over. Now we have to move to Dr. Roy's room. It was an unusual sight which met our eyes. So they went inside Dr. Roy's room. Then what they saw, it was a strange thing there. Dr. Roylott sat on a wooden chair. His eyes were fixed in a dreadful, rigid stare at the corner of the ceiling. So his eyes were fixed on the corner of the ceiling. Bound tightly round his head was a peculiar yellow band with a brownish speckles. So there was a band around his neck, and that is a snake, a speckled band, a poisonous snake that found in India. And what was there? Bound tightly around his head was a peculiar yellow band with a brownish speckles. And you should remember, at the time of death, what Julia said, it was a band, a speckled band, and that band is there around the neck of this person, the stepfather, Dr. Roylott. The band, the speckled band, whispered Holmes. So here Sherlock Holmes, he just remembered about the speckled band. Take next page. I took a step forward. In an instant, his strange headgear began to move. From among his hair, there arose the squat diamond-shaped head and puffed neck of a loathsome serpent. Then Watson, what he said, he just went a little more forward. Then he found that the headgear, the helmet or something on the head, that was moving. Then from among his hair, among the hairs of stepfather, what they noticed, arose the squat diamond. Okay, the diamond-shaped head, puffed neck of a loathsome serpent. One snake came out. Loathsome means extremely unpleasant. Serpent, serpent means it is a snake. So one snake came out from the hair of stepfather. It is a swamp adder, cried Holmes. Sherlock Holmes said that it is a snake. It is a snake, a poisonous snake that is found in India. So the speckled band means what is that? It is a poisonous snake. And the deadliest snake in India, the swamp adder or the speckled band is a deadliest snake in India. Dr. Roylott must have died within 10 seconds of being bitten. So earlier we had seen Sherlock Holmes, he just pulled the bell very fast. So the snake that bitten the stepfather and he died within seconds. Violence does in truth recoil upon the violent. Recoil means to spring back with the force. Whatever we violence we do to others, that will come back to us at the end. That is the same thing with the stepfather. Because you should understand that this stepfather, Dr. Roylet, only sent this snake to Julia's room to kill her. And now what happened? The same snake bitten Dr. Roylet and he died. And what is the reason? Maybe because of the provision. There was an agreement. According to that agreement, at the time of marriage, Dr. Roylet or the stepfather, he is supposed to give the amount, such an amount of money to the children. So in order to avoid that, he killed his daughter, okay, the stepdaughter, and then he tried to kill his next stepdaughter, that is Helen. But ultimately what happens? The violence came back to himself. Let's put this creature back into its den and let the police know what has happened. Sherlock Holmes said that okay, we should keep the creature means the snake, into the den. Then after that we should inform the police because there already happened a death. And now the next paragraph we will see the explanations of the story and how Sherlock Holmes came to know that the stepfather was the person who killed Julia. So that we will discuss in the next paragraph. Holmes explained the case to me on our way back. My attention was speedily drawn to the ventilator and the bell rope which hung down to the bed. Okay, that you should remember. Earlier we had seen that once Sherlock Holmes arrived there at the home, he noticed that there is a bell rope and there was no wire. It was a dummy bell rope. And he also noticed one more thing, the bed was fixed to the floor. The discovery that this was a dummy and that the bed was clamped to the floor made me suspect that the rope was there as a bridge for something passing through the hole and coming to the bed. So here Sherlock Holmes, once he found that the bell rope is a dummy and the bed is fixed on the floor and the bell rope was hanging beside the bed, then he understood that this bell rope, it is just a means for, or it acts as a bridge for something to travel from one place to another. So it helped some creatures to pass through the ventilator, then come near to the bed. The idea of a snake then occurred to me. So then he thought that maybe it is a snake. So the bell rope, the purpose was that to make a snake to travel from this stepfather's room to Julia's room. So it was a means or it was a passing way. I coupled it with my knowledge that the doctor kept a supply of creatures from India. Then he thought about the creatures. Okay, you have to remember the things that we learned in the first class. There, Helen said to Sherlock Holmes that he had some Indian animal. So again the idea came to the mind of Sherlock Holmes that the owner or the stepfather is having some kind of Indian animals. Then I thought of the whistle. Of course, he must recall the snake before the morning light revealed it to others. So he used to send the snake to Julia's room using this rope, and he used to recall the snake back to his room through the whistle sound. Okay, early in the morning he used to make the whistle sound so that the snake came back to the master's room or the stepfather's room. Then he had trained it, probably by the use of the milk which we saw, to return to him when he called. So already we have seen saucer of milk. So from that Sherlock Holmes understood that stepfather or the master, he just trained the snake by giving the milk. So whenever the whistle sound was there, the snake used to come back to the master. He would put it through the ventilator at the hour of that he thought best, with the certainty that he would crawl down the rope and land on the bed. Whenever he felt, okay, the master or the stepfather, Dr. Roylet, felt that the best moment, then he used to put the snake into the hole. Then what the snake did? Then the snake used to crawl down to the bed by using the bell rope. So he would put it through the ventilator at the hour that he thought best, with the certainty that it would crawl down the rope and land on the bed. It might or might not bite the occupants. So here there is a person laying on the bed. The snake might bite or might not bite. Sometimes it can bite. Perhaps she might escape every night for a week. So Julia used to escape every night, okay, for a week. Then what happened? Okay, once the person who is laying on the bed touches the snake, then snake would attack that person or bite that person. So the same thing happened with the Julia. But sooner or later she would fall a victim. When I heard the creature hiss, I instantly struck the match and attacked it. So that is the reason why Sherlock Holmes brought a cane and a matchstick. So once he heard the sound, okay, earlier we had seen that Sherlock Holmes and Watson spent a night there inside Julia's room, and when suddenly Sherlock Holmes heard the sound, then what he did, he just struck the match and started to hit the bell rope. So then what happened? Watson says, with the result of driving it back through the ventilator. What was the purpose of just hitting the bell rope? To drive back the snake to the master's room or the stepfather's room. Normally the snake that came through the hole there on the wall from stepfather's room and came to the Julia's room. But on that day when Sherlock Holmes was there, once the snake reached, then Sherlock Holmes started to beat, then the snake just went back to the master's room or the stepfather's room. Yes, said Holmes, and also with the result of causing it to turn upon its master on the other side. Not only that, once the snake went back to the room, then the snake, it turned against the master or the stepfather. That is why the snake bited the master or the stepfather. Some of the blows of my cane came home and roused its snakish temper, so that it attacked the first person it saw. Normally what happens whenever we strike a snake, whenever we hit a snake, then what snake does? It will attack the person which he or she saw first. The same thing happened. Sherlock Holmes, he just struck the bell rope, then the snake went inside master's house, then he or she, okay, the snake bited the first person whom it met. In this way, I am no doubt indirectly responsible for Dr. Grimsby Royal's death, but I cannot say that it is likely to weigh very heavily on my conscience. So in a way, Sherlock Holmes says that Sherlock Holmes is responsible for the death of the stepfather or the Dr. Roylott. Why? Because it is because of Sherlock Holmes the snake went inside master's room and it attacked Dr. Roylott. So I hope that it is clear to you. So here what is the explanation given by Sherlock Holmes? He says that once he was there inside the room of Julia, then he noticed some strange things, and he came to understand that one snake was coming to Julia's room from stepfather's room, and that snake only caused the death of Julia. And this stepfather, Dr. Roylott, he trained this snake by giving milk, and whenever the whistle sound was there, the snake used to come back to the master or the stepfather. But on the day when Sherlock Holmes was there, then what Sherlock Holmes did, he struck the bell rope so that the snake went back to master's room or the stepfather's room, and it bited the person, the master, and he died. So that is the end of this story, and it is a detective story. Now you may take page number 6 and 7. There you will find some questions. Question number A, B and C. You are supposed to write the answers of these questions there in your notebook and try to read the story full and
Write down the words that you do not know, the meanings of the words that you do not know, and complete the questions that is given in your textbook. And if you are having any doubts regarding the story, then you can contact me and you can send a message on WhatsApp. Thank you. Have a nice day.